test. Testament Alpha at the well, we got the Mishnah, right? We got to find the Gemara. Yeah, we did. Okay, we got the Shmuel Amar, New Testament base. Shmuel Amar, but Marshal Zu. Now the question is that's about a bit halfway down the Gemara, about 2/3 way down the page. So the question was, in the Mishnah it said that if there's $200 there, so the first woman and the three women, one was supposed to get 100, the other was supposed to get 200, the other was supposed to get 300. The first woman gets 50, the second and third each get 75, right, making $200 altogether. So the question is why the first woman should only get 33 and a third, which is her percentage of the first 100, right? She shouldn't get a full 50. Why should she get a full 50? The first 100 should be equally distributed among all of them. So she should get 33 and the third, another 33. The second one 33 and the third one 33 and the third. And the second 100, which is not magia to the first woman because she doesn't have any shiur on the second 100. So each of the two other women should get 50 in that. So it should be 33 and a third, and 83 and a third, and 83 and a third. Why is it 50, 75, 75?
Because it's the proportion.
No, it's not proportional. She has no claims on the second $100 that are there. That's what the Mishnah is assuming. So it shouldn't be it should be only proportional. The way the Gemara is learning is not that until she gets $100, she has a shiur on the entire estate, but rather each $100 of the estate is judged differently because there isn't enough money to go around. So if in the first $100 she has a third stake, the second $100 she has no stake because her ksuva is only $100. And but the stake of the woman at a ksuva of 200, the woman at a ksuva of 300 are equal in the second to $100. So therefore, again, it should be 33 and a third for the first woman, 83 and a third for the second woman, and 83 and a third for the third woman. Yet here it's 50, 75, 75. Why is that? So it says more this time about where the second and third women were klutzes, basically. Shmuel Marsha Zu, it's the idiot factor. The Marsha Zu. They gave each other the power of attorney. She here says and here the third one gave the power of attorney to the second one to adjudicate or to negotiate with the first one. So so the second one was an idiot. Amr Allah, she said to the first woman, Lo mana yislach, do you not have a stake in $100? Sav chamishin vezol, take 50 and go. But she was an idiot. She thought she was making a legitimate compromise, but it was a stupid compromise. She should have divided up the $100 in three. But since she was representing the other woman, who the third party wasn't here, she either forgot about it or couldn't do math, and therefore she said, you take 50 and I'll take 50, all right, of this $100, and we'll split up the second $100 among ourselves.
She's a woman, she
couldn't do math, right? No arithmetic. So, because now here's a very interesting case actually. I don't remember any of this from the Bible, and I didn't look it up in the halacha, but it's a very interesting principle the Gemara wants to tell us. Although the Gemara doesn't actually the truth is the Gemara doesn't really pass in this way, but nevertheless it's interesting. You have three people who put money into a common fund, investment fund. Vosiro pichsu, and the fund went up in value or down in value. Kachi was down in value. Kachi can divide it the same way it indicates in our Mishnah that the first $100 everybody has a share in, the second $100 whoever had a share in that, and the third $100 whoever had a share in that, and so on and so forth. Now, says the one, this is a really interesting part. Amar Abelazar said, that if the money went up in value, or Yisera went down in value, or Yisera or went up in value. But let's say the fund realized gains, or Lehefse, the fund lost value, not the money, right? But through their investments, they invested in stuff which went sour, or invested in stuff which went up in value. Okay?
I don't understand the difference.
Well, in one case, the money becomes more precious. The government, made the coins more precious, right?
It wasn't that their investments were so good, just
right.
the value.
Value of money went up. Right. In the other case, their investments are good or bad. Right. Where the money went up or down, so that they divide the either gain or loss proportionally, because each one staked a different amount of money there, right? So one person has more coins in the pot than the other person, right? So that's proportional. However, if they invested and they made money in investments, or they lost an investment, kulam chokim b'shaveh. All the gains and all the losses divided up equally, not proportionally. Now the Gemara asks, what are you talking about? The kash, it's difficult. Ahen yoav mea dinar. This guy gave $100. Ahen yoav asora, and the other guy gave $10. Vat amar achen, and you're going to say they divided up equally.
The risk is not even. So.
Right. So nevertheless, no, the Gemara defends his position. Chavraya Omrin, the Chevra said, Yochlu Meimarle, he could say to him, the $10 guy can say to the $100 guy, Aidemon Yai, because of my $10, Salkas Pragmatia. You could buy the merchandise. In other words, the merchandise he bought was merchandise that cost $110. Without my $10, you couldn't have bought it. So therefore, my $10 were essential to the gains, and therefore I should share proportionally, not proportionally, but equally in the gains. So it says Ma'akidun, okay, fine. That makes sense. Davis pragmatia zaira. There was a small amount of a merchandise they brought. It's like they bought one pearl, right? So the one pearl, so you need the full $110 in order to get that size pearl. Habis pragmatic rule. Well, there are many pieces, right? Not just one piece. So the guy says, the 100 guy says, well, 100 of those pieces were bought with my money, and they weren't contingent on your money. And only 10 of those pieces were bought with your money, right? Let's say they're buying cubic zirconia as opposed to pearls, right?
Or a string of pearls.
Right, a string of pearls, right. So therefore, he says, let's make it proportional. Says Maram Rabbi Avin Barchir Avin says, no, there too it's not proportional. Yochel Meimer Lei, the guy, the 10 guy can say the 100 guy, in the time you bought one, Ana Mazbin Asora Zimnin, I could have bought 10. The interesting thing, he says, I'm much more fluid. My position is much more fluid because I'm only dealing with $10. So I could have invested it in the amount of time it takes you to buy and sell your larger investment. I could have bought and sold many times over with my $10 and made much more money with a smaller amount because of my more mobile, more liquid position. Okay? All right, that's what it says here. Ad kedum makom karov. Okay, so he says, all right, that may be true if the market is nearby, so we can run every day to the market with $10 and keep making more money. What about the makom rachok? What if the market is very far away? On Rabbi Hila said, Yochel Memele could say, Adat ozil v'asei chadzman. By the time you went on top of Samacham Rav 119, Adu Yochel Memele could say, Adat ozil v'asei chadzman. The time it takes you to go one time. I could have gone 10 times. Why? Because you're going to carry a much heavier load each time. Because you're much more you're much more loaded down, and you have many more pieces of merchandise to sell, much more to transport. I'm much more light on my feet, so to speak, and therefore I can make much more money with my $10 than you can make with your $100. So the bottom line is that he claimed. And according to Rabbi Lutz, will give him the benefit of this claim that that his $10 are equal in value to the $100, and therefore they split up the proceeds and the losses equally 50-50. Okay, it's amazing, Gemara.
It reminds me a little like it's not really the same, but like active income and passive income. The original case of just the money going up in value is like passive income,
right?
And the other one is more you got to work at it because you're actually making the investments.
That's a good chiluk. In other words, where it's working, so that sometimes the work, but since we're working on it, sometimes the guy was $10 say, "Well, I'm a much more diligent worker." The fact is, I held myself back by investing with you, and therefore you have to give me equal gains. It's a nice chiluk that makes it more palatable. Tamatin, now ask the Gemara a question. Tamatin, we learned over there. Chazar v'nogach shor, echad shav masayim. This is a very interesting halacha. The halacha is my ox scores your ox. And it's a tam. So then the halacha is that I now own half of your ox. Okay? Assuming that the ox which is gored to death is valueless. So the tam pays chatzi nezek, half of the damage, and it pays migufo, pays from the ox itself. So now if my ox scores your ox, and your ox is worth $200, my ox is worth $200, a simple case. So now you own $100 worth of my ox, right? What happens if now our ox scores another ox? So how much do the two of us own? How much does our ownership share go down to?
Quarter.
50. Right, a quarter value, right? 50, I own 50, you own 50, and the new guy owns 100, right? What if the ox scores again? So now our value goes down to 25, and his value goes down to 50, and the new guy gets 100. Okay?
At that time it's a mulad.
Well, it's the third time. That's the last time. Then next time it's a muad. Okay? So it says the Gemara, to Talmud Chazav v'Nogach Shor Echad Shavim Masayim. Ha'achor Neitel Mana. The last guy gets $100. This case I just gave you. The third time it goes before it becomes a muad. The last guy gets $100. So Shana Fanav and the guy immediately before him gets Chamisha gets $50. Ushnaim Rishayim Dinar Zog, and the first two guys they only have $25 left. The Chen L'Schar. Now there it says also that if the ox goes up in value, each one of us realizes a proportional gain in the value of our share of the ox. But that's a kasha, because in our sugi we said things are not proportional. That when things go up, then the gain is distributed not proportionally, but rather is distributed based solely on the amount of people there, no matter how much money each person put in initially. So how come here it's proportional? Why is the difference? Rabbi Zira, the truth is that it's l'schar here doesn't mean that the ox went up in value, because that's a bad example. Because where the ox went up in value, it's like we said before, that where the gold goes up in value, so then you split the increase proportionally. Indeed, we're just talking about a case where we rented out the ox or something like that. So we rented out the ox, so each person who has a share in the ox should get equal proceeds from the rental fee. Just like where you have an investment fund, each person should get equal proceeds from the investments, as opposed to dividing it proportionally. That's the Gemara's question. Okay? So it says the Gemara, I'll tell you the answer. It says the Gemara, Rabbi Yossi, Rabbi Zira, Polygon, Rabbi Les. He says Rabbi Zira, who says that they divide it proportionally, or is Rabbi Lezer? Rabbi Lezer holds that you divide it up based on the amount of people, not proportionally, and Rabbi Zira argues. Rabbi Mona proposed another alternative in front of their Yudan. Lomo Rabbi Lezer, doesn't Rabbi Lezer concede? Shim Hitnu Beineim. If they made a condition between the two of them that it should be that if their investment fund has a rise in value, that they should divide it proportionally. That each person gets based on what he put in. In other words, they can make it a proportional distribution. They can override the even distribution, the poll, that's the per capita distribution, and make it proportional. Well, if that's the case, shvarim kimutni made. By accident, it's as if you made this condition. And it's an interesting reason why that's true. Korban Ada explains that an ox which gored, the partnership was made against their will. When my ox scores your ox, so you don't want to be a partner. It just happens, right? So before we said by an investment, when two people get together to make an investment, so the guy who has the smaller funds can say, yeah, but I'm a better investor, so therefore I should divide up equally. You're the money, but I'm the brains, and I'm also much more diligent, so therefore we should divide up equally the proceeds, right? But by an ox, and that's why the assumption is that in that case, unless specified otherwise, they divide it up equally. But by an ox, there's really no such thing. By an ox, we're not, each person who comes into the deal can't say, well, my part of the ox is better than your part of the ox, right? Or I would have made more money with the ox than you would have made with the ox, because had the ox not gored your ox, you would never have joined in the deal. So therefore, in this case, we don't have any of these tinus which we had before, and therefore they divide it up equally. Okay? Says the Gemara, Rabbi Yossi. He said it for Rabbi Yossi. He said, in fact, they argue explicitly. Rabbi Zira says two people who joined up in an investment, and one gave more money, one gave less money, by default they divide up evenly in the proceeds, 50-50. Rabbi Zira by default, so each person takes proportionally based on his investment. One takes proportionally based on his investment. The other one takes proportionally based on his investment. So therefore, the conclusion of the Gemara is, it sounds like Rabbi Zira, it's proportional no matter what, not per pole, per capita, but proportional. Okay? Halacha. Misha Nasishnan Arba Nashim. Somebody is married to 4 wives. Umeis, and then he died. Harishena Kodem is the first wife he married. Her Ksuva came first. Kodem is the Shneer. She comes before the second wife. Ushneer, the second wife. Ushlishis is the third wife. Ushlishis is the third wife before the fourth wife. Harishena Nishbas Ushneer. Now, the first wife to collect, she takes an oath to the second wife that she didn't get anything from her husband in her lifetime. She's not hiding anything away, but rather she's coming to collect now the ksuva from scratch. Ushniya, the second one, takes the same oath. L'shlishis, the third one. Ushlishis revis, and the third one takes the same oath to the revis. And the fourth one. But the fourth one doesn't take a shvuah. Who is she going to take a shvuah? Right? So who's she going to take an oath to? She's the last one.
She's left the last.
Right, so she doesn't take an oath.
So this is like an acharai type of thing.
Right, similar, but not quite the same thing. Afterwards, subsequent. But it's not. It's just because he already married them. So, her vias difrash lo b'shua. Arma ben Nanas says v'chim neshi achroin, and he's scared just because she's the last one. She gets rewarded. Afilo tipra l'shua. Also, she can only collect if she takes a shua. Now, the reason that's so, the Mefarshim explain here. I'm assuming they'll explain based on the Bavli, but I didn't look at the Bavli inside. The reason that's so is because eventually what might happen is that somebody might come, a Baal Chov, a creditor will come and collect from one of the earlier women. And at that point they want to make sure that the fourth woman who took justifiably, because otherwise they would look for free and clear property to make up what some creditor took away from them. So therefore they demand of the fourth woman to take an oath to make sure that she's not hiding something, because in case later on somebody will collect from them and they want to make up their ksuva from somewhere else. Okay?
Who does she swear to based on?
It's the first 3. First three, yeah, it's round robin. It says in Gemara, what if all the ksuvas are written the same day? Actually, I don't know if you're allowed to, because Ema Arvin Simcha B'Simcha. But all the ksuvas are written on the same day, right? Whichever came early in the day, even by an hour, Zochta, they came first.
They don't normally...
No, they don't normally write. But it says, Yerushalmi shows. Yerushalmi used to read hours into the documents. We all came out the same hour. And there's only $100. They divide up evenly. Now, Rabbi Shmuel said, Kedivrei ben Nanas, like Ben Nanas said, they were afraid, right? And maybe some creditor will come later on and collect from one of the first 3, so they're going to make the fourth one take a shvu also to make sure she's not hiding anything. So, Ben Nanas, the star echad, we can draw an analogy also to one document, shiyatzu, which comes out. In other words, a bill alone. It should be al harbe lukuchos, on many customers. So in that case, we also say kulam mechok. In that case, we say kulam chokim mishava. They all divide up equally. They all pay equally. Now, what does that have to do with Ben Nanos? Because he says in our Mishnah, where the everything happens sequentially. So then Ben Nanos said, well, in this case, we take the fourth one, make the fourth one take a shvuah, because later on, when the creditor comes, the creditor will go to one of the two creditors going to go to one of the first. Well, might go to one of the first 3, and that one will have to pay. So therefore, she wants to make sure that the fourth one did not take any property, was not coming to her, in case she wants to take a reimbursement. Actually, is what I want to say for herself. But let's say one document came out simultaneously on all of the women. Right? We're only really afraid that a document's going to come out which is going to serve the creditor to collect against one of the women, and therefore she wants to make the fourth one take a shvua in order to make sure there's no free and clear property being hidden. But if the shtar came out against all the women at once, so you all have to pay up, right? There's no choice. So too, if a shtar came out against a whole bunch of customers at once, they'll have to pay up simultaneously. In our Mishnah, it's because we're talking about where we're afraid about chov will come to one of them. That's why last one has to take a shvua. But in fact, the flip side of that is the Baal Chov came to all of them, so then nobody takes a shvua, they just all pay up equally according to their portions. Okay? Amrei Kiva Kurei Mana. This Rabbi Kiva is an Amora. I don't even know if it's Rabbi Kiva, it might be Rav Avram, Rav Amram, Rav Ami, who knows who it is. But anyway, Rabbi Akiva said in front of Rabbi Mana, Laces are pligo Rabbi Shmuel. Doesn't our Mishnah argue Rabbi Shmuel? The Shmuel Mar Shuchta the Daine. He said we leave it up to the Dayan's discretion. Do he wants to stay sure? So Yitzas Shiatza Sarachas when you have two documents on the same field, right? You don't know which is which. Leizman Shiatza Yalachlid Machlitin. Give it to whoever you want. The Kol Marachim, but here it says not that way. Here it says that they divide it up evenly, right? That we don't try and figure out who it should go to or assign it arbitrarily. We divide it up evenly. So it's a question. It doesn't seem like we apply Shuda the Dina here, right? So it says more Amalei. So he said, Lo b'shtei shtoros, not into Shmuel. Didn't Shmuel say his din? Lo b'shtei shtoros. Didn't Shmuel say his din where two documents are coming out on the same field, right? And then we can reckon who should get it more, right? But here, the kabish tarechonanu kamin. But in our case of Kesuvos, it's like one document on two fields where it's impossible to ascertain what exactly the person's intent was. It's two fields. Two people, who have documents against one field. So we can figure out, he probably likes Joe better than Bob. But if it's two people to one person in two fields, we have no way of ascertaining, so therefore we really can't do Shuda the Daina. Now, in fact, we said yes, so we do, and the one is going to ask that. But more especially, we can't do Shuda the Daina where it's two people on one field. Where it's one person on two fields. To figure out which field he wanted to give, how are we supposed to know that? So in any event, so says Gemara, here too, by Ksuva, when they're all over in the same day, we don't know which woman he loved more. So how are we supposed to know that? How are we supposed to intend to give Ksuva to the two?
Isn't that part of the tears of Shtarachah?
What?
Isn't this the tears?
Yeah, that's why we don't say Shuda the Daina here. Because it's like Shtarachah. Right, it's like Shtarachah, we can't say Shuda the Daina. It says, we're talking about one document, so you can't do Shuda the Daina. It says, hey, knock, knock. V'lo shmir the Mar Rabbi Avun b'shem Shmuel. Didn't you hear that which Mar Avun said? The Rabbi Avun said name Shmuel. Lo shani ben shtar echad shiyotza al shtei sodas ben shtei shoras shiyotza sarachas. It doesn't matter. Eza men shiyotzu beisin malachlit machlitin. Whichever one they want to give, they can give. But we do say Shuda the Daina. So the Gemara leaves it difficult. Seems like our Mishnah argues in Shmuel. Because Shmuel says we even where it's Ev Charlemagne below the mill, so we can't tell. We do Shuda Daina. Either like Rashi, we try and figure out. Right? They say we just give it arbitrarily. Our Mishnah doesn't say that. Our Mishnah says Chokin. So our Mishnah says so. Even though where a case is impossible to figure out, it says you divide it up. You don't just give it to whoever you want. It seems like our Mishnah argues on Shmuel. Okay. Says more further. Rebbe brought about this custom of dividing up equally. Barnona uvegugolas uvaamperos. If a creditor comes from the real estate collector or the poll tax collector, a collector, I meant to say, from the real estate that's Arnona tax, who goes to poll tax or amperos or any levy, just or unjust, raised by the goyim. that we divide we divide it up equally according to whoever it's they deliver the summons to, whoever they come to collect. So they all deliver equally. Period. Now we're going back to the Mishnah. The Mishnah says that whoever got married first gets before her friend, right? In the Ksuva. Kadas, this goes like the Kadad Ben Nanas. That's like Ben Nanas said that oh no, I went back a line, I'm sorry. Or rather, I went back 3 words. What I should have read is Hini Rabbi Barnura v'Gos Hapros Kadad Ben Nanas. They divide up equally. Now, Kadah goes back in our Mishnah and says that whoever came first has first dibs. Because we have a very funny, very strange story here. The Krivan Rabbi Yossi, the relatives of Rabbi Yossi, Zavnei Chaklavan, they bought a field, Elin the Bar Tapkan, from people whose name was Bar Tapka. Azlin, Elin Bar Tapkan, and these Tapkanites were very deceitful people. They went Nasan and Nashim, and they married women. And they brought them in stars which said that field, which really they just sold to Rabbi Yossi, or the relatives of Rabbi Yossi, belongs to you and is part of the dowry. So Asun boy Mizgaraya, they wanted to come and pick a fight because the Rabbi Yossi, with relatives of Rabbi Yossi, had acquired fair and square. Amurai Raimona said, Ana Yada, I know that Kad Zavantun Elaine Chakurasa, when the relatives of Rabbi Yossi bought the field, Love Elaine Shkiyai Kad Mechon, you didn't have these documents with which you gave them to your wives as part of their dowry in front of you. So it means that we always look carefully into when things took place. Because here obviously deceit was going to occur. They're going to pretend that they had actually made this land part and parcel of the wife's ksuva before having sold it to the relatives of Rabbi Yossi. So we have to be quick on the draw in order to prevent major fraud going on here. Okay? Misha Nasi Shtei Nashim. So he was married to 2 women. Umacha Sadeh, he sold his field. The Kosva Harishoina Lokeach, and the first of his wives wrote to the buyer of the field, Dino Dvarim Ein Limach, I renounce all claims against you. Well, what happens? The second wife didn't renounce any claims. Hashniya Motzi Ad Mi'ad Lokeach. The second wife takes it away from the customer's hands. Varishoina Minash Varishoina, but then the first wife takes it from the second wife's hands. You know why? Because she renounced any potential judgment or claim against the buyer, but not against her co-wife. Right? And her co-wife, she hates her guts. So therefore, once her co-wife collects, she says, that's nice, Tiri, but my shibud was first. Give it to me. You see that?
And she's allowed to do it.
It's not fair, but that's life. Okay, that's what he says. Unless they make a compromise of some sort. It goes on and on. That's true also about a debtor. And so too, a woman is a creditor. Same idea, when they exempt one partner, not another partner. On Rabbi Yisrael said, Hadamara, this teaches our Mishnah, Hahendi Yazif, some of you borrows, mean Tremedei Nash from 2 different people, Asatinyana, and the second one came and said, Omar Lay, the second one comes. It says, the second debtor comes. He said, he says in front of the creditor, it says to the creditor, Kumi Pushrin, get up and make a compromise with me. Omar that works. Because we see here that such a thing works, right? The one, you can divide and conquer. Omar so he says, I don't understand. Isn't it going to happen to him what happened in our Mishnah? The Kadmaya Mashma, the first brother will hear, right? I'm sorry, not the brother. Yeah, just thinking about this. Sorry, that the first partner will hear that the second partner collected property, or the other way around. The Baal Chov will collect from the second from the second person, and the second person will collect from the first person. That's right. Baal Chov will collect from the second person. The first person, the Baal Chov was owed money by two separate people, right? So now, it's the other way around. Sorry, scratch that. Two creditors, one debtor. Two creditors, one debtor. Let me see. Let me read it again. I'm right. Yes, the Adamos teach us. No, a person borrowed money to creditors. Now the second one comes. Armalin, he says, "Kumi Poshri, let's go make let's make a compromise." Armalin, so he says, that works. The compromise can be made. Now the question comes from our Mishnah. Armalin, so he said, "V'leiso fei de kadmaya mashma." Isn't what's going to happen at the end? The first creditor who has first dibs because he was chronologically first, we'll hear, who may say mitrov, and is going to come and grab the land which is left to the borrower from the second creditor. I'm not sure I'm explaining this, but it's really a tragic case. It can make you cry. What happened is like, I don't mean that literally. That you have a creditor owes, a debtor owes, $10,000. Let's talk $100,000. Debtor owes $100,000 to two separate people. Now, to the second creditor, he makes the second creditor says, "You know what? Have Rachmanas upon you. Let's make a deal. I'll take 50." So the guy agrees. He settled the pshara, right? The question is, what good that does it? Where's the money going to go anyway? To the first creditor. The first creditor is going to come and take the money. So what good did it do him to make a pshara? Is that clear? He's going to lose anyway. So that's what it says. I'm going to lay Sophie the Kadmea Mashma. The first creditor is going to hear Mason Mitchell is going to come and graph it. So it says Umara Yachum Meimar Le. You could say Pushrin, make a pshara. I made a pshara. You can say I made a pshara. Ve'ein toraf. Actually, I forgot to read this line. So, yeah, okay, now, yeah. So the Gemara answers, the second creditor says, you're right. You're taking a risk if you make a compromise with me. But if you don't make a compromise with me, I'm just going to take your $100,000. But he owes $100,000 to each one, right? So the second one says to the first one, the second one says second one says, I'm willing to compromise on 50. So the debtor says, what good does it do me? So my other creditor will come and take 50. So he said, maybe, but maybe we'll be able to make a pshara with him also. In the meantime, if you don't accept my pshara, I'm going to take it all away from you. This way you'll be left with 50 or whatever it is to deal with. Maybe you'll be able to handle with it. But you don't make a pshara with me, you'll be left with nothing anyway. Is that clear?
Why would he? Because he had first dibs? I mean, why does he?
No, because he came first. It's not material for our case for first dibs. So name answer. So the Gemara said that's really a question answer. So he says, what good is doing? Eventually, first of all, you're going to hear, Mitchell is going to come and grab, right? And he's going to be out anyway. So the second, the Gemara answers, the second creditor could say, push in, make him share with me, and run your risk with the second, go to the other guy. But it's your best interest to try and make him share with both of us. Says Gemara, Pisha min Hasheni. It's true. Pisha Meshay, if he made up sure, now here the chronology matters. If he made up sure with the second guy, Chazaka Sharishim Bavatarif. It's Chazaka, the first guy's going to come after him, won't do him any good. You're right. However, Pisha Min Arishon. Let's say he made a compromise with the first guy. He made a compromise with the first guy. The debtor made a compromise with the first creditor. Okay? Now, Arvei Pinchas, Asa Uvda Kumi Rabbi Yirmiyah. Case came from Rabbi Yirmiyah. Amri said, Pisher. So legitimate pshar. It's a fascinating concept. What he's saying is that the second creditor comes and says, okay, now give me the $50,000. So the guy, the debtor says, nah, those $50,000 were coming to the first creditor, and he gave it to me as part of our shiur agreement. But it's as if he already collected it from me, and you have no right to it. It's an amazing concept. You hear that? Once the debtor makes a deal with the first creditor, so whatever the first creditor relinquishes him out of the goodness of his heart is now beyond the reach of the second creditor. Because it's like a side gift from the first creditor to the debtor. Yes, no, maybe.
Why? I don't understand the logic.
Do you get it?
My whole problem is it's fully.
You understand the logic? Wait, you understand the logic?
I understand the logic. What I don't understand is the relationship of the two debtors, the two creditors to each other. They're not partners.
But the first creditor is owed $100,000, and his whole estate, there's insufficient funds to cover both loans, right? His whole estate is $100,000. It might be more, anything up to 200, obviously, but anything less than 200, right? So the first, if he makes a settlement with the first guy, so whatever was left out of the settlement is really a gift to him from the first creditor.
Okay.
It's as if the first creditor already collected it, and therefore the second creditor has no rights on it.
That's no big deal. It's almost like Colroy
Our lawyer. Yeah. Colroy Levila.
Yeah.
Because it's as if he collected it, right? Okay. But Naaman said the Gemara doesn't like it. Says the Gemara, wait a minute. All right, I'm right. Basically, below Kasavdikni, standard operating procedures in any star. You write that property I acquire in the future is under lien to this loan. So so he got the present from the first creditor, but so that in any property that a person buys, it's under lien to the loan. So therefore, why is this also not under lien to the loan? Yes, it's true. He got it. It's like a property which he bought after a dime, which also comes under lien to the loan. So here too, the property came under lien to the loan. So says the Gemara, Lo asya el b'yerish. You're right. The only time it's going to work is if he inherits property. Because if I inherit property, then I can say to other creditors, it's interesting halacha. If I buy property, anytime after taking out a loan, that money becomes under lien to my creditor, because that's the way the shtar is written. The chosim asid ana lemikne. We still write that into our Kesuvos in our day and age. Any property that I'm eventually going to buy becomes meshubad, right? So if that's the case, if I write it into by writing money which I get as a result of a shiur with the creditor, from first creditor, the second creditor is going to get, because it's as if I acquired it through purchase or per purchase. However, if I inherited the property, then it doesn't fall under that clause in my shtar. It says nechasim da'asid ana lemikne, that I'm going to buy, not property I'm going to get. So therefore, if he inherits the property, then it doesn't fall before the second creditor, or for that matter, before the first creditor. Property which a person inherits is out of the picture. Okay? Property, of course, that she owned had inherited, but owned at the time of the loan, that becomes under shibud. But property inherits later on does not come under shibud. Okay? Says the Gemara, Amar Echina said, Afilu Baal Chov Asya. It can even work by a Baal Chov, even by a creditor. By either lo kosovay called dikne. If it didn't write, everything you're going to buy goes under lien. So then, whatever he gets as a result of the first pshara, he gets to keep. Oh, Shamar lo, he said, Ayel chapiron el mizeh. He said to him, the second creditor was an idiot. But he said to the second creditor, you only have right dibs to the same land that the first creditor has dibs to. So in that case, once he gets it back from the first creditor, it's considered like panim chadashos. He gave him dibs on the same field he gave dibs to the first creditor, but that's as long as he owns it. If the first creditor, as if he collected it in the settlement and then gave it back to him, so it's the same thing as buying a new field, and therefore the lien to the second creditor fell off.
Does the second Baal Chov have to know that the first Baal Chov was collecting only from that land?
He mean if he doesn't know, he's going to be defrauded. But it's tough, that's tough on him. He'll be defrauded. Okay? It's a loser. Right, because he didn't check it out. He should have checked it out. Should have made sure his was the only claim on this land. Should have run a title search. But he didn't, so tough. That's, I think, the way it works. Now, it says one very interesting Tushel, classic Yerushalmi. Amar Metania, right? Metania said, Asya Kamada Malik Ksuva Avalol Tnoim. This whole discussion is going according to opinion, which holds for Ksuva and not for Tnai. And what does it mean? It says, we have a machlokas. I had a machlokas a few blot ago. If somebody marries a woman and then divorces her and marries again. So the second time around she gets the same ksuba she got the first time around. What about the tnoim, the tnai ksuba? Are they obliterated by the divorce, or do they come back as well at the time of the second marriage? So it's a machlokas. So according to the opinion which holds that when the second marriage comes around, you get the ksuba, but not the tnai. So that's the case if the lady gave the land to the creditor and took it back. So it's not the same land, it's part of Chadashos. But if the second time you get married, you go back to the same woman. You go back to the ksuva and the Tanai ksuva. So that means that the second marriage is just a reawakening of the first one. So to here, when he gets the land back after the pshara, it's not Ponim Chadoshos. It's the same old land. And therefore the second creditor has the right to come after that. Okay? So it's very interesting. If you hold a second marriage is a new marriage, and that's manifesting that you only get the ksuva, but not the Tanai ksuva. So here, if the land was taken, so to speak, by the first creditor, and then restored, so the second creditor's lien on it fell off because it's like a new parcel of land. But if you hold that from the first marriage to the second marriage, both the ksuva and the Tanai ksuva continue, which means it's as if the first marriage never fell away. So too, here, if he gets the land back after the pshara, the original shibud remains intact on it, and the second creditor can come and collect it, even though in the meantime something happened to it, but since it's back in place, it's not putting chadoshos and he can collect from it. Okay? So that brown command, my ben time, chazira, it returns to its reverts to original status, and the second creditor can come and collect it. Okay? That's a brilliant Yerushalmi Kesuvos. Hamonin Israelis Thursday, not good. I think it's not good for Thursday nights. Hamonin Israelis v'nichsei yisoyim. New pair. Hamonin Israelis v'nichsei yisoyim. And Hamona is sustained from the property of the orphans. U'maiseh der shalem. As a result, however, it's not from the estate. It's the property of the orphans. Well, it is from the estate. Sorry, from the estate which the orphans have inherited. Right. Maiseh der, as a result. Maiseh der shalem, her handiwork is theirs. But they don't have to bury her if she dies. What's to bury her? Yerushalmi, her heirs, Hayarsha Kesuvos, who inherit her Kesuva, Chayam B'Kurasa, they have to bury her. Now that means the ones who get her Nichsei Milog and Nichsei Tzom Barzo when she dies, which are her father's house, they're the ones who have to bury her. Okay? Rav Yehuda b'Shem Shmuel, Avo b'Shem Yochanan said, Mitzias, if she finds something, Shalah, she gets to keep it. A wife who finds something goes to her husband, but she who finds something goes to her. Why? The Gemara is going to explain. Osir Mizonos. If she, well, actually, I was going to link it. I don't know if the Gemara is going to explain. Osir Mizonos. What if if there's foodstuffs left over, right? She didn't eat up all the food she got. So Shalom. That goes back to the Yisoyim. Amona Shemitzah. Now the Gemara explains. Amona Shemitzah Shalom. Amona who gets to keep her own mitzvah. Hotzir Mitzvah Shalom. If we were to say that the mitzvah goes to her, then if she leaves over food she didn't eat, then I skipped the line, but I couldn't understand what I was saying. Eishes Ish Mitziasa Shalo, and Eishes Ish, Oh, the way I skipped the line. I skipped the. Oh boy. Let me start with anymore because I skipped the line, and mixed myself up too. Rabbi Sheshu said, "Rabbi Yochanan said, "Mitzvot shlov. I want to find something that's hers." Osir Mizos. What if she left over food? She didn't eat all the food she was assigned. So Eisha Sisha Mitzvot Shalo, and Eisha Sish whose Mitzvah goes to her husband. Osir Mizon is awful. She leaves over food she doesn't eat, so it's like a Mitzvah. So Shalo goes to him as well. Amana shemitziyah shalom. Amana, her mitziyah goes to her, right? Not to her to her keepers. So therefore, Osir Mizonos, if she gets that's left over, Mizonos shalom, it's hers as well. Osir beloyos. Now, also, if she has leftover rags, the kids have to give her clothing. What about the rags which are left over, tattered at the end of her wearing the clothing? They're hers as well. It's a kavachomer, the Gemara says. Actually, Ma imeshas isha hosir mizonos shalo, and eshes ish, if there's extra food, it's her husband's hosir belows. But if she has rags left over on clothing, shalo it's hers. Amana shosir mizonos, and amana where she has excess food, it's hers. Shalo hosir belows. If she has excess clothing, lo koshke is not a kavachomer, it gets to stay by her, so it's pashut. Says no. Time and Tzirchel only does. I might say, and Eishesish gets to keep players. You know what? Because what's she going to do with the rags? She's going to wear them when she's in Nida. But here, where a woman is Amana, she doesn't do anything special in her Nida period. So why does she need the players? Says, well, what are you talking about? Yeah, but when she's in Nida, she doesn't wear nice clothes. This is the days before, they had protection for the clothing. So therefore, she doesn't want to wear nice clothes. So also in Amona, she needs the bloyos, and she also gets the bloyos for the days of her nida. Okay? Rabbi Yami B'Shem Rabbi Yisrach Nida. Rabbi Yami said, even though it says in our Mishnah that her Maisi Yadayim go to the Yisoyim, Af he Eino also Dvarim Shal Yichud. Also son Vashir, which is the Yisoyim, intimate things which she would do for her husband. Mayin Dvarim Shal Yichud, what are intimate things? Sachal and Gufon, to anoint their body with oils, Umarchetzon and Espreim, wash their faces, Umozegson and Akos, and pour their wine. Because obviously that's not appropriate. Umosim Milam Zonoseh. We add on to her food based on what she was accustomed to during her lifetime. The Yisraelim have to keep her up from the estate in the style to which she has become accustomed. However, as a result, normally, if a husband goes to Chutz La'aretz, we don't provide his wife with wine. Because women are not supposed to drink wine. But if in her lifetime her husband provided her with wine, right? Amana yesh lo yain. And as Amana, she does get wine. Ish, a married woman, Shama Yatzum says, I want to keep my own handiwork and you don't have to feed me. Ain't Shama, we don't listen to her. Now the Bavli argues in this. Moshe tries to reconcile Bavli and Shai, but I don't think it's possible. The Bavli holds the woman can't say, I don't want to get fed by you and I want to keep my handiwork. But the Yerushalmi holds not the way. The Yerushalmi is the opposite holds you can't do that. A woman cannot see any Nizonos, so she's on the lean to work for her husband, and that's where she gets Nizonos, okay? Unless he renounces it. So it says she can't renounce it. But Amana Shamar Yotzi Yedei Masei Yedei Mizonosai. But Amana who renounces it says, I want to keep my handiwork and provide myself with food. Shemela, we listen to her because she's under no lien to provide anything for the Yisayim. They don't lean to her. As opposed to a woman who we don't listen to her because, according to Yerushalmi, because she's under a lien to work for her husband. Okay? Now, period. New issue. Rav Amar, Rav said, Hameis Amar, if a mace said, I'll take Bruni, I don't want you to bury me. From my funds, of course. Nikvar B'Tzedakah, he's buried based on Tzedakah. Now, the Mechamayim, I think, has a very valid point here. He says, what kind of business is this? Isn't it obvious? How can a person say, I don't want to be buried from my own money? And Tzedakah will have to bury him. It's nutty. How can you possibly in such a way that Tzedakah has to bury him? So he says the pshat is like this, very interesting. So it's not that the guy says explicitly, I don't want to pay for my burial. He gave all of his property as a matna shchimera to somebody else. So he doesn't have any money left to pay for his own burial. Okay? So in that case, it says, if he says, I don't want you to bury me. In that case, we make stock and bury him. Why? Because it's no longer his money. If it's his money, we'd say, you're a jerk. You want to get paid for your own funeral, you'll pay for your own funeral. But if you gave it as a matna shchimira to somebody else, so we can't go to the other person and demand, you pay for Ruvain, your benefactor's funeral. That would be nice, but it's not halachic, right?
Well, if he just says it as a shchimira, I don't want to use my money for my burial.
So Mechamai says in that case it's partial that we wouldn't listen to. That can't be the case. Now, says more, Rabbi Yami Amar said, do you really think that other people that are getting his money, meaning the person who he gave the matana, where a kaka to bury him in staka? Whereas the argues around says, what kind of business is that? It's his own fault, right? And other people are enjoying the property. We're not going to take up for it. We're from it, of course we'll take up. It says, it seems our Mishnah argues a Rav. Because our Mishnah says, Yerushalmi Kesuvos, the heirs who get a ksuva, chayavim bikvurasa. So we see that the whoever gets the money has to bury her. We don't make the Chevra Kadisha bury her. So to Rav's case, since he gave his money, again going according to the Mechamayim, since he gave his money as a man shchimira to somebody, that guy should have to bury him. Not like Rav says, right?
Rav's system is exactly publicated for everyone.
You think they went to Yerushalmi? It's not a Bavli. It's not a Bavli. That's amazing that they became in Yerushalmi. Okay. Gives one pause. Okay. Says the Gemara, Pasal Rav. It doesn't say Pasal Rav, but it says Pasal Rav. It's a Bishiyoshu Karka. Interesting thing, if they inherit land, then before they take hold of the land, the Chiv Kvura devolves on the land. I want to learn it's a mystical thing, that Kvura is in the land. So therefore, before they took hold of the land, it's as if there's a kever there. But the Mechamayim is more pedestrian about this. He says that by land, it's not Shach Tfisa. You don't really take hold of land. So therefore, the land is never fully taken away from the estate in the sense that would deprive us of the capacity to bury the person there. Why? What's tonight? Neil Kirshner, the husband? Yeah, to who? Tom Marilyn. Oh, very nice. Yes. Okay. I guess the only Tom Marilyn in town. That's what he said. Neil, you didn't know about this ahead of time? No. Oh boy, so you're slipping. Okay. Sheldon Kirshner's son? Terry Newman, the brother-in-law? Very nice. So anyway, let's go a couple of lines further. So says Gemara, Masisa Pliga Rav. The Mishnah argues on Rav. It says, Yerushalmi Kesuvos acher mikvurasa. It says her heirs who inherit her ksuva are chayev in her kvura. Oh, I just did that. Sorry. So part of the Yerushu karka. So as I said, the karka is different. Like that which you learned. When a person leaves over avodim shvachos mishtarsim talpin, kol kodim zubayim zacha. Whoever gets them first merit gets them, and that precludes you can't sell if a person gives matna shchimira to somebody, and he took hold of him already, so you can't demand of him, well, release the estate, release that money to bury your benefactor. He says, it's mine, all mine. I got it already. You can't demand of me to release it in order to bury my benefactor. Tough on my benefactor. Let the vultures eat him, right? So, and that guy's buried b'tzedakah. Because these are metalton which can be grabbed, right? Avodim shvachos stars metalton, right? However, avohim lo karam metafas motzi miyado. and if he didn't take what they didn't were able to grab, motzim miyod will be taken away for burial purposes of the benefactor, as that is specifically karka, right? Now this is patarle boimer kvaruni. Now it says more, maybe not. Maybe that's specifically talking about a case. Yeah, I heard you're not learning tonight. You got engaged, this Neil. Or you got a tape from him. Okay. So patale boimer kivruni. So it says more, no, maybe it's talking about a case where he said kivruni, bury me. Okay, and that's why there's a preclusion. If the mace is buried and he didn't say kivruni, even though other people could to grab the property, we take it away to bury their benefactor. That's where they grab land. That word is extra, but anyway, the Gemara repeats itself. When do we take away from them? When they grab land. But if they grab metaltlin, so it's too late. The benefactor is beaten by the vultures. So the only time where they grabbed the stuff already, the people who got the matana shchimira, so we can't take it away from them. Where they didn't grab it yet, so then we can take it away from them, and then we can, or where it's karka, we can take it away from them and bury the guy. We'll continue with this on next Wednesday.